Welcome back to the NAO show. I'm the Prince. That's Marky Mark. Tank Top Mike is always here in that beautiful blue tank top Mike. Very nice. And we have a special guest, the FNG from the NAO. Welcome.
Hello. It is I, James Durham, otherwise known as Tybrosian, otherwise known as the fucking new guy.
Yes.
Here in Almost the Flesh as a disembodied voice.
That's how we like you, disembodied. Tell us a little bit about yourself, FNG.
I'm an unspecified age between 20 and 30, and I work with Marky Mark, and I've been doing fantasy for like a decade at this point. Only one championship to my name, generally good enough to make the playoffs, but I am a complete newbie to Dynasty, so we'll see how this whole experiment goes going forward. As you may have guessed, though, probably not going to be great this year.
That's okay. You are in clear rebuild. Those 5 first-round picks are definitely going to be a very big asset when it comes back around to the rookie draft. What do you think about the Dynasty format so far?
I think I prefer it to redraft. And this is something we've talked about in other leagues I've been in. Is that a lot of redraft leagues kind of get ossified. You'll see 3 trades a season. And so there's not a lot of movement or engagement past the draft and setting your roster each week. And so in this format, you get a lot more movement because you have assets that have more fluctuating value, and you have assets that you can move to kind of rebalance or kind of smooth out a trade, right? Like if you wanted to trade, say, if you needed to get a running back for a wide receiver, it's really hard to make a one-on-one trade happen. Like in my other league, I was able to get someone to swap me Swift for Thielen, but that normally I had to ask around for a running back for the entire league. And even then I didn't think I was going to get it.
Yeah.
And I was asking for a lot lower than Swift because people are always super, into their guy. Whereas like in a league like this, it's a lot easier to say, hey, I need to acquire this player. I'll throw you a player and a second, to kind of rebalance it and push it into your favor, which is something that you see happen here all the time.
Right. It's fun to think about D-Day, as I like to recall it too, or the D-Day, Friday the 13th, where everybody and their brother did a trade. It seemed like it was kind of like the calm before the storm at like the 10th and the 11th of the month. And then as soon as one hit on the 13th, everybody was like, oh, I guess we're all trading now. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody's trading.
What's funny is I know mine was, but I imagine all of them were like a long lead up into that. Like I was looking at moving Kelsey, like that conversation lasted like a week.
Yeah. Most of anybody in our league is a pretty stout fantasy player by now. And you're not going to, unless it's a direct need for that other player, the first offer is probably never going to be taken. So it takes a little while to haggle back and forth, which is really fun. And then we're able to get those trades done, which is nice compared to the redraft league, like you said.
What I'd like to know is, has anybody offered you 2 firsts for James Robinson yet?
Yeah. That's a great question.
All right. Well, I'm not going to say anyone by name. Yes, but it was 2 firsts for Robinson and 3 seconds.
Wait.
Which is like,
I know who that is.
Which is like, yes, but no.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I waffled back and forth on whether or not to pull the trigger on that for a while, and I eventually stuck with Robinson because I do actually need a running back at some point. I don't know if you guys have perused my running back situation, but it's horrifying.
Boston Scott's solid, dude.
Can we call it a situation?
As your week one opponent, I think your lineup looks fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
I want to jump into that a little bit before we jump into the trade, Marky Mark. I know I'm throwing this train off the rails real quick, but
yeah,
can we go into this fucking switching of a first for a second? Like, oh, I'll send you 3 firsts, but you need to send me 4 seconds. Like, what is the idea behind the gain of that? You are literally maybe adding 3 or 4 draft picks in a few of these picks. You know what I mean? Like, come on. I am not going to send you a bunch of seconds for my first and your guy. It's just not going to happen ever. All right. That's my soapbox,
Well,
and I will die on it.
yeah. I mean, it's been done. So why not try it again? But yeah, I'm the same. You're not going to get that much from me. Maybe a second, but I'm not going to throw you I'm not going to go pick for pick with you.
Yeah, it was basically we're going to clear out your second round for the next 3 years. And
Yeah.
also you get 2 firsts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
no.
Way to stand to your guns.
All right, Mark, let's get into that trade, big guy.
Yes, sir. We got one trade to talk about this week between Tank Top Mike and Humpty. So Tank Top Mike received Mike Gesicki, Tyson Williams, and a 2022 fourth. Humpty received Tyler Boyd and Diami Brown, or Diami. Is it Diami? Diami, I think. So Mike, this is your trade. Start us off. Tell us all about it.
Okay, this one, I don't dislike my own trade, but I think this was the first trade I made that was basically just pure utility. It was just, I had a glaring tight end hole, an Evan Engram sized hole in my lineup, and I had to fix it. And actually, funny enough, the idea came to me. I didn't think Gesicki would kind of be on the board. The idea came to me during the fake and Evan was on vacation, Derrick Henry trade. And I was like, hey, are you actually like considering trading him, or like what's the real deal here? And it, we on and off for a little bit. But I mean, it filled the hole that I needed. At the end of the day, I did it because I had to, kind of thing. I lost a little bit of wide receiver depth that I'm a little bummed about. Both of those guys, actually, Boyd and Brown, I was pretty excited about, but it was just one of those. Gesicki, there's a lot of, different opinions about the guy on if he can break out this year, be a top 10 tight end, top 5 tight end, maybe. I kind of bought into maybe top 8-ish around there. And I thought that's the kind of piece that can win me a championship eventually. Is Boyd going to do that this year? The next year, probably not. And that was like the deciding factor for me, but more of a utility trade. Kind of, I had to do it to shore up the tight end, I suppose.
Was that the asking price? Were those guys you offered, or those guys he wanted?
He actually, it was Brown that really started it. He had wanted Brown specifically, and we kind of toyed around with the rest of it.
Okay.
And then obviously Tyson Williams was sort of just a throw in because it was after the whole Gus became the RB1 kind of thing. And I was like, it was kind of an overpay if you put it in a calculator. I know I lost in almost every calc, I think, but I feel like my starting lineup did get better. But yeah, with Gus being the only running back, basically, Tyson was kind of a throw in that made me feel slightly better.
Yeah, I agree with you, TikTok Mike. I think if you're looking at this trade, just on the trade, Humpty definitely won, because I'm kind of big on Brown, and Boyd is a flex spot every week if you need him to be. But the need for you at tight end was a blaring need, obviously, and Gesicki's going to be in your lineup every week besides his freaking bye week. So yes, you lost, but it made your team better, if that makes sense. What do you think there, James?
All right, I'll give a super short answer, because I think both of you covered what I already was thinking. Was in a situation like this, the winning and losing of a trade, as long as it's within reason, isn't, I don't think, that big of a deal, because both sides got what they wanted out of it. He got Brown, you got Gesicki. Boyd is, I think I'm probably lower on Boyd than most people. I think he's kind of a,
I think he's
at his ceiling right now. There is no higher ceiling for Boyd. Boyd is Boyd. But I think you got the player you needed to solidify your starting lineup. And yeah, you overpaid, but like, I think that speaks to more of an issue with and I've seen this happen way worse in other leagues, is the need to quote unquote win a trade that some people have. I don't buy into that necessarily. If it made your team better and it made his team better, then who cares who won it according to a calculator?
Are you listening, Ian? Are you listening to that? Rewind about 30 seconds, Ian, and listen to that.
Re-listen to that.
Like I've heard some spicy takes on here about how I lost on a calculator, and I was like, cool, moving on. I'm happier now than I was about my team yesterday.
Now it's all to be determined, because it may look good on paper one day, but down the road it looks a lot different. So we all know that it's all about how it turns out down the line. So I like Boyd a lot. When you got him, Mike, I think you traded Docking Brothers for Boyd a while
Mhm.
back, and I'll say the same thing I said then. I like him. He's one of the best slot receivers in the game, and I honestly think you can mark this down on our imaginary board. I think he's going to be the number 2 in Cincinnati, one way or another.
I had said that when I got him. Actually, I thought
Number 2 behind who?
I thought
I
he
don't know.
out targeted at least one of them for sure.
I don't know. Higgins or Chase, probably it might be Higgins, the way things have been going with Chase. Looks like Chase may need a little time to get up to speed, but no, Boyd, man, he gets good separation. The line is still not great there. He's the check down guy, and he's just always open, man. So he's
Arizona would use Christian Kirk the right way, he would be better than Boyd, but they will not use him in the right way. So
okay. Sean's never meant a tangent he didn't go after.
You know who Boyd reminds me of? We want to throw it back. He reminds me of like at his peak, the Bees. Old Beasley. He's always good for some points, man.
Yeah.
There's always points in the Beasley jar.
Yeah, it's nothing sexy about him, but it's always solid. So Diami Brown, I like a lot. I think now that they cut a bunch of their guys, but Gandy Golden and what's his name, Kelvin Harmon are gone. Now Curtis Samuel's dealing with a groin injury as of today. It got a little worse. So Brown, I think, could jump right up there to be their number 2 or 3 guy.
Can't hold that against you. If I'd made the trade today, I wouldn't have done it.
No, you wouldn't have done it today, but yeah, I liked him anyway, though. I think he's a good Fitzpatrick kind of guy, man. He'll throw those YOLO balls to him for sure. He's that kind of guy. I'm a little down on Gesicki. You guys are saying, hey, good, you got your tight end, but I'm just not. I would have been trying to sell him if I had him too. He's a great athlete. He wasn't drafted by Flores and his crew. He was drafted the year before those guys came in. They just never really have used him like I think he could be used. And they drafted Hunter Long. Gesicki's in the last year of his contract, so it just, the writing on the wall to me says Gesicki's just maybe not going to be as good until he gets to another team. I hope for your sake, Mike, that I'm wrong, but I just not really excited about what he might do this year. That's my take on him. Tyson Williams is probably good to go along with Gus. Kind of weird to think that now you had the handcuff to JK. Now you got the handcuff to Gus. I think he might be their number 2 before it's all said and done.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with
I'm not worried at all about Le'Veon Bell coming in there.
No, I'm not either. I think he's just he's insurance if somebody else goes down. So I wasn't crazy about this trade for you, Mike, but I hope it works out for you for sure.
I'd like to shout out Humpy on this one. It was great trading with him. He's top of the league to trade with. I'll tell you that. I'll put it on the air.
Yeah.
Maybe that's because I've been dealing with other people lately.
Ian, did you hear that? Rewind 30 seconds. Listen to that again.
Ian and others. Yeah. Humpty's a little slice of heaven compared to some, right? All right, guys. Well, I think
let's get into these matchups, Marky Mark. Let's see what week 1 has in store.
We have football. Before we get into the matchups, I wanted to ask our guest, FNG, what is you're the only neutral party here. So who do you got tomorrow night in the opening game between Tampa Bay and Cowboys?
I want to pretend like this is a tough one to pick a side on, I want to pretend that I believe in the Cowboys. And to be fair,
Ugh.
I think with Dak, if he's fully healthy, if he's back and ready, I haven't seen recently. Are they going to have Martin or not? Is he
No.
out for the
No,
game? No.
officially
Okay.
out now. Yeah.
Highly doubt. Oh, is he officially out? Yeah.
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 He
Okay.
get hit another one. Okay. So that kind of compounds my thoughts. But I think the Cowboys have a lot of talent. But I just think the Buccaneers are. I mean, the last 8 weeks of last year in the playoffs, they were on a rampage. The Buccaneers don't really have a glaring weakness anywhere on the roster, and we all know where the Cowboys' weaknesses are going to be in this game. And big yikes for that O line. Good luck. Good luck, Dak. I wish you well.
Well,
I'm
I
not
want
going
to
to give a
go
score
on the
prediction.
record and say that F&G can be on the show whenever he would like if he's going to talk like that about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. On to the matchups.
the Bucks are going to be so into their ceremony, they're going to forget they have a game to play. Cowboys are going to steal one.
To be fair, traditionally, I think there's some truth to that. A lot of times, the Super Bowl winning team has a bit of a letdown week one the next season.
There you go. There you go.
There's your glimmer of hope, Mark.
There. Thank you, sir. All right. Yeah, let's get into the matchups. So the first one we're going to talk about is Auto Poo or Poo Crew. I'm not decided. I kind of like Poo Crew, but Auto
I like
Poo.
Swamp Dick.
Yeah. Again, on a tangent, man. Squirrel. So Auto Poo is going up against Orlando City FC, the new name for Aaron's team. Auto Poo is favored 158 to 145. Start us off, Mike, on your observations on this matchup.
This one, this is the one that I'm probably going to be watching just as much as my own. Honestly, I think this one's going to be a good old fashioned barn burner. Really, we're talking like early 2000s, late 90s WWF Hell in a Cell kind of thing, and I'm all about it. Obviously, on paper, Ian has probably the best lineup in the league, but I think with some of the late trades that Aaron made on Friday the 13th, he put himself pretty good spot to make a good run in week one. Week one, I think, is the time to do it. So if there's an upset, also, I think I'm pegging this one for the upset too. So I'm into this one.
Good. What do you think, Sean?
I totally agree. I am going all in on that Orlando Football Club. Let's see what they got. Let's freaking hope for the best because we do not want Auto Poo to win week one. Bad enough he won last year. We had to listen to him all off season. God, I would love for him to lose week one. Please make it happen. What do you think there, FNG?
I don't share quite as much optimism, but I think if there is an upset, the places to look at are going to be. It's obviously the first one is how good is Saquon coming back after injury, right? That's a stingy Denver defense.
Maybe on a pitch count.
Yeah, might be on a pitch count. So you might see a pretty surprisingly low amount of points from Barkley. But honestly, I think you're hoping for a lot of points out of Mostert and Ayuk against a pretty bad Detroit team. You're kind of hoping they run up the score. There's going to be a little bit of a incestuous play here because you got Rodgers and Adams on the same team but against each other. So they're going to be robbing points from each other. But honestly, I see Cook against Cincinnati, and I see Hopkins against that Tennessee secondary, which I wanna be good, but I can't buy it yet, and I just think I see a lot of points on the on the blue steel side. Unfortunately, I know.
Yeah, he is fitting in pretty well around here, Sean. Unfortunately, right. Now, those are some great observations. He's also got Auto Poo's got Metcalf going against Indianapolis, which is a tough matchup, and that's in Indianapolis. Waller against Baltimore. That one's at home for him, but good Baltimore defense. Maybe Kelsey a little bit against Cleveland. Cleveland should have a good defense this year, but that is a home game for Kansas City. So, he's got some tough matchups there. So, and you called it with the Mostert Ayuk, man, he can really make some hay there. Also, Andrew's going up against Las Vegas in the tight end spot could be
That's a good
could
point.
be a good one. But then you look at Allen, his quarterback against Pittsburgh, and Carson going up against Indianapolis. So he's got a couple of tough ones too. It should be a great one. When you said barn burner, Mike, I think that is the word for it, man. That's why I started off with this one, because it's an exciting one. I'm looking forward to.
I think it's one more punt on this quick. It's very interesting to me that Ian has a legitimate running back one on the bench right now in Chase Edmonds. He's only told me the greatest things about Edmonds for the past, at least it feels like 4 years.
Yeah.
So to keep him on the bench is interesting.
Yeah,
Maybe
it really is.
on him.
It really is. It's funny the way he's talked him up. You think he'd have him in the flex spot at least, shore up that flex, right?
Shore up that flex.
Yeah. All right. Next one we have is PWW against Silly Dilly, and we got PWW. He's favored 131 to 123. Sean, start us off on that one, buddy.
Well, I like Humpback's team. I think Stafford's going to have a really good year. I think him going to the Raiders is going to be real good for his career long term, to be honest with you. I think Stafford is going to be a great guy to have. Derrick Henry, I think anybody with a sense of anything is going to think that he's going to have a regression year. Sorry, you can't have all those yards every year. I can't, And then,
but they are playing Arizona, as FNG pointed out. It's pretty sweet matchup.
It is a great matchup. I will say that. But I don't think he's going to do like 35 points week one, which I think I'm putting my chips in to Silly Dilly on this matchup.
Tell us why.
Not because of his RB3 in his RB1 spot, but because, Julio Jones is going to come out. It's going to be the best week to have him on your starting lineup because it'll be the only week that he's healthy. Tyler Lockett might have one of his 75-point games. You never know. OBJ might actually even catch a pass this year. So who knows? All systems go for Silly Dilly.
All right. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I'm not leaning that direction.
Okay.
I'm actually kind of excited about Humpy's brand new team. He came obviously after the season, and I'm scrolling down the lineup here, and I might be missing some, but I think just in his starting lineup, Noah Fant and Sterling Shepard might be the only guys in his starting lineup that he started his NAO time with. So he's got basically an entirely new team that he's pretty carefully put together since he came in. So I'm kind of excited about a lot of the things that he's done. I think Stafford and the Rams is going to put up some serious points. I think that's going to be an exciting offense. Like you said, the Derrick Henry matchup was pretty juicy. I'm into that. I think, is Stephon Diggs, did he make Josh Allen better? Did Josh Allen make Stephon Diggs a little bit better? That's going to be fun to watch too. But, I think Humpy's team, it's just going to be fun to watch. I think Sean kind of got it on Silly Dilly's team on, Damian Harris there. I think he put him in the RB1 slot on purpose, just because. I appreciate a move like that, but, we'll see.
And if you've listened to another podcast, the FF
for FF's sake.
Yeah, FF's sake.
Yeah.
Humpty Dumpty over here is starting a Jets player. So I don't know what he's doing, but maybe he might not want to do that.
Yep.
Maybe he hasn't listened to the podcast yet.
Of course.
What do you think, James?
So I'm gonna be on cautiously leaning towards Silly Dilly here to at least be I think he's more likely than he looks. And the reason why is I think there's a really high chance that the defenses are going to swing really hard to Silly Dilly this week. This is one of those weeks where predictions don't do a great job of guessing defenses. And if the Tennessee defense gets 6 points fantasy wise, I'm going to be on cloud 9 because they dumpstered Arizona that game. I don't think they're going to have a good time. And also, let's see if I saw it here. I lost it. Julio Jones is playing a Arizona secondary that just has no corners. They basically are down to their like third and fifth corner from the preseason already. Malcolm Butler obviously retired, and so I think there's going to be a lot of points in that matchup. I think it's going to be another barn burner, but this time on the field. And as good as I feel about Humpback's team long term, some of your best players are playing tough matchups, right? Like you've got Diggs against Pittsburgh. You've got Montgomery against the Rams.
Yeah.
I actually am of the opinion that Derrick Henry is probably, I think he's going to be great this year, but I think he's going to get not that much work relative to Derrick Henry against Arizona, because I think Arizona's weakness is in their secondary. I like Corey Davis. I don't know how much I trust Corey Davis fantasy wise on a Jets team that has a lot of other options. I say a lot, one. But a lot of unproven moving parts on that Jets team going into the season. And so, yeah, I just see, and I see a lot of, I think, overinflated points for this week for Yale Humpback. And I mean, I obviously think Brady's going to blow the doors off of Dallas. Sorry, Mark.
Okay. No. Well, disagree with that last point, but you had some good points on some of those tough matchups for Humpty for sure. I still think he'll get it though. I look at Silly Dilly's roster, and he's got 4 guys that got the questionable designation. So you kind of have to wonder if everybody okay there. And he's got that running back 2, Harris, is going against a good Miami defense.
Running back 3.
Jacobs going against Baltimore. So those are a couple of tough matchups there in the running back slot. Yeah, we'll have to see. Last year's Dallas defense against Brady, it could be good for Brady in Tampa Bay, but we'll have to see if Quinn has turned them around any or not. I love, for Silly, the one I love is he's got Devonta Smith going against Atlanta. He's got a chance there for him to really feast and make a bust onto the scene as a rookie. So I do like that one, but overall, I think I still like Humpty's chances a little bit better. Yeah, Fant is the one. You said he's there from last year. I'm on our imaginary board in the back. I'm going to say that Fant is going to disappoint this year. I don't feel like he's gonna. Everybody's calling for a breakout for him. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to be disappointing this year. He's going to be boomer bust with a lot of bust, I think. So, but Humpty will tell me why that's wrong, I'm sure.
Are you telling me you don't believe in the Denver Broncos quarterback situation, Willie?
Yeah, I just believe in the other guys above Fant. So we'll, yeah. And it's not a great quarterback situation, but
Bridgewater's not doing it for you.
Yeah, Teddy Two Gloves doesn't get me too excited. So. All right, let's move on, gentlemen. We got next matchup is Tank Top Mike against FNG. You guys are here to argue it out. So, Mike, we'll let you start, and we'll let FNG go next.
Well, I think this is kind of a fun one because we were joking around about FNG's lineup being a little lighter, but I think second year in a dynasty, sometimes you're in a rebuild, and that does happen though. But I think there are some good matchups that you have on your side, actually, but how good is Lamar Jackson going to be again this year? And obviously everybody wants a little piece of James Robinson, going against Houston. I think Houston's going to be sort of the Cleveland of old, of if you have a guy, doesn't matter who else you have. If one's going against Houston, you play him, kind of deal. I don't know. I don't know what to say about my team because I'm not really into it right now after our trade talk. And then I talked to Sean a little bit today, and then that got me down on my own team because we were just being sad together.
Here, I'll hype you up. Let's see here. Oh man, you play a lot of good defenses this week. You have Gus Edwards against the Raiders defense. There you go.
Yeah,
I did get lucky I noticed with the Zeke trade, I wasn't planning on starting any of those guys. And now I've got Gus Edwards and Pittman in the starting lineup.
I know that Cleveland's defense is supposed to be markedly improved this year. I'll believe that when I see it. And I think Mahomes is going to get a billion points because it's September, and The
And that
Chiefs
one's
are
in
always
Kansas
gods
City.
in September, and it's in Kansas City,
Yeah,
and I think
yeah.
they're going to put up 1 billion points and 55 points and 600 yards. I think my biggest hope here is that the Raiders are still bad at defense, because they've been kind of shaky, and yeah, hope for that. Hope for a Elijah Moore breakout against a pretty bad Carolina team, and hope that I get to beat up on Houston a little bit.
Yeah.
That's my best path to victory. But I mean, across the board, obviously your roster is, I have Boston Scott starting, and probably I'm gonna go on a bold move here. He probably gets the least points of anyone in this matchup.
I did notice that Boston Scott is projected, like you were talking about week 1 projections, slightly less than DeAndre Swift, but only slightly.
Interesting. Yeah, we don't know what Houston's going to be like right now. We assume they're just going to be bad, but we need this week 1 to see just how bad they are. See if maybe they play hard for this guy and do a little more, overachieve or something. So, well, let's move on to the next one. That was pretty good, guys. We're going to go with Sean's matchup next. The Fresh Prince going up against the Docking Brothers. So, Docking Brothers are favored in this matchup, 148 to 4 points for Fresh Prince. So, Sean, what do you think, man? Do you have a chance?
I need a couple things, 1 or 2 things to go my way, but maybe it's a strong maybe. That's all I got on this. Like Mike said, I was hating my team earlier, so I don't have much positive to say about it right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got Burrow against Minnesota. Minnesota didn't do much to fix that secondary from last year. Mixon too, going against, they should be able to do okay. I hope Burrow is, got his mind right and ready to go. Then you got Jefferson on the other side going against Cincinnati. So Goddard going against Atlanta. You got your San Francisco defense going against Detroit. There's a lot of reason for optimism in your lineup there.
I was going to say, I think we've said this before on the show. Sean's favorite person to go after is a high upside guy. So when you look at lineups and week to week matchups, it's like he could go off, but you need that upside. And then, sorry about this part, Sean, but I think the Deep Butts is my favorite team in the league. Actually, it's Ian's is pretty deep, but my favorite week to week team is probably the Deep Butts. So it's a tough one, but you just need your upside guys to hit any given week, and your point range is like 120 to 170, like any given week. But
yeah, I'm gonna need that 170 against the Deep Butts this week, definitely.
Any thoughts on this one, James?
I don't know if I agree with the brothers being my favorite team in the league, but I man, I like some of their matchups this week, man. They've got Tannehill against Arizona, and you know how I feel about that game.
Mm-hmm.
They've got McCaffrey, who I think is going to be pretty much fine, because they basically just shut him down last year. And he's playing a Jets defense that I have zero faith in. Again, AJ Brown, who is the wide receiver 1 for the Titans. He's listed as questionable, but he's literally always questionable. He's fine.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about Lamb, but yeah, pretty much the whole team is playing softballs this week.
Hawkinson against San Francisco could be a tough one. A-Rob against the Rams could be a tough one, but they got some real sweet ones too. So
in terms of Ian here, I think my other issue is that I'm probably the lowest person here on Joe Burrow. I think long term he could be great, but man, right now Cincinnati is going to get him killed again.
All right, on to the next matchup. You are out of the league. Got it.
You just lost a few points. You had gotten so many good points, but you just lost a few there. All right, we got just a couple of minutes for the last matchup, which is the Mighty McJammars against Goofy Jace. This one is only a 3-point difference in projections. 145 for Goofy Jace, 142 for McJammer here. I'll just go through what I put down real quick. Yeah, Kyler versus Tennessee. We've been talking about that Arizona versus Tennessee. So I'm loving that matchup there. Sanders versus Atlanta. Kittle going against Detroit. Denver defense going against the Giants. Those could all be really nice for me. Elliott going against Tampa Bay is definitely going to be a tough one. So maybe not what you normally expect out of Elliott there. For Goofy Chase, I had Evans versus Dallas, Ridley versus Philly, Chenault versus Houston should be good ones. Keenan Allen against Washington football team. Russell Wilson's against Indianapolis. Those are going to be down ones. So, Mike, give us some quick thoughts on what you think.
I think you got a lot riding on tomorrow night's game. I'll see how it goes to see if I check in with you before the end of the night.
Right.
But yeah, I think you kind of hit on all the matchups that you got going. I will be interested more, not just being a homer, but I'll be interested to see what Zeke and that new Cowboys offense kind of looks like with Dak back. And I'm interested actually in Kamara the most on Goofy's team. Just seeing what that looks like, what he looks like in that new offense. So actually the battle of the RB1s would be kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, true. Sean?
Well, I think Dallas is going to lose and Tampa Bay is going to win. So, yeah. Next.
Next.
Got
Amari
about a minute,
Cooper doesn't
James.
catch any passes, though, and they still
Yeah.
lose.
Hey, you don't say that.
He fades away. He'll fade.
So
You got about a minute,
so
James. Any thoughts on this one?
Real quick, lightning round. I think the difference in this one, that'll push your way, Mark. I'm picking you in this one. Is I don't think Russell Wilson's going to perform nearly as well against Indy as Kyler Murray will against Tennessee. My one point of concern is that I don't know if I see Rondale Moore doing a whole lot. I think he's going to be mostly a gadget player who might get you a handful of points, but I don't know. I don't know how high his ceiling is in this game.
I could make a change there, but I'm going with the stack and I'm going against that terrible Tennessee defense.
And on that point, you suck, Ian. See you next week.